Greetings, Saints, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Barbara Dean Franklin Show. I am your host, Barbara Dean Franklin, and today I have the awesome pleasure of having Rosina Johnson on my show, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with me, Rosina. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Rosina. I'm going to read just a little bit of information about her. She does so much stuff. It will take me probably the entire show to tell all that you do. But Rosina, you are a artist, curator, arts educator, and entrepreneur. You've always been fascinated with the human form. As a young student of dance, you were impressed with the complexity, agility, and gracefulness of the body's movement. Your growing interest you explored other aspects of art, which eventually led you to study fine arts and a bachelor's of studio art at Wayne State University.
Correct.
You developed the African Body Adornment Project 2012. We'll talk a little bit about that. You have a conference coming up this weekend.
Yes.
The extensive use of African design elements and symbols in your work stem from your ongoing research into the art of body adornment. So you have a business in Mjuba, Associates, and you used to be a curator for the Charles H. Wright Museum. Okay, so Rosina, tell me a little bit about, so you grew up here in the States.
Born and bred.
Okay, so how did this become a passion of yours? Because this is a passion.
Yes, it is. Well, initially, I've always been fascinated with our culture as people of African descent. And I've always known that whatever it was that I was going to do had to involve a couple of things. The interest in reconnecting to our culture and the arts, specifically the culture arts. So the opportunity to sort of marry those two together, this was a perfect opportunity with the African Body Adornment Project. And within that, because my background is also in research as a curator, it sort of all meshes together.
Okay, very, very fascinating. When I saw this on Facebook, the Ancestral Eye Body Adornment and Imagery in the African diaspora. Yes, I mean, it fascinated me because, we see so many people today with body art or tattoos. And I know for a fact that the reason, I believe, in which we do it today has lost the meaning of, why it started. I personally can say I don't have any body arts or anything like that. I will get a henna, and wear it, and then it'll go off and go away. But I had my daughter, my youngest daughter. I just love her so much, and I know people say that I talk about her on the show all the time. She is my diamond in the rough, And I said, do not get any tattoos. I think she has probably 13 or 14 now.
Exactly.
She always try to hide them, and then she forget and come into a room like, you have another tattoo? Oh, mine, So, but you will have. I talked last week about her being kidnapped and beaten by a guy, but his name is on your neck. So now you have that for the rest of your life, unless you go through the pain or whatever of having it removed or covered. And so many young people, they don't do we think, when we do that, are we thinking about we're putting somebody's name on our body who may not be connected to us for the rest of our lives? And then it's really rough when you have 4 or 5 different names, and you're not with any of, anybody who is attached to you. So I know you can't give me a lot of history, but, just give me some history about how, as you have been doing this, how that started, the body art. And
well, it depends on the particular African culture, and it's not just in Africa that you see body adornments. It's in India, it's in South America. So it's been a tradition that you see in many different cultures that has been in existence for centuries. And it will depend on the particular society that you're looking at. In the the culture of the Wodabi, who are from the Niger area of Africa. There is a ritual in which the men adorn themselves in a particular way, and they are adorning themselves specifically to attract the attention of women.
Okay.
And what they will do is they will adorn their faces and their hands, but specifically on their faces, they will focus on those features that are very prominent, are very attractive, to sort of bring those out so that the women can see how beautiful they are.
Okay.
And when you think of that, it's the opposite of what you have in Western culture, where the women tend to make themselves, or traditionally have made themselves more beautiful to attract the men.
Right.
So that's one aspect of what you might find in a particular African culture. There might be a situation where in another culture, for example, the Dinka, who are from the Sudan, where the men may have a scarification marking on their heads, on their foreheads, or a situation where the women or young girls who are of marrying age may get scarification marking on their stomach.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about scarification, you're talking about the actual pricking of the skin.
Okay. I was getting ready to ask for clarification.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so there's a welt that develops.
Okay.
And it may appear that that's very extreme. But when you look at, the same kinds of or similar situations that you see body art done in Western society, it's really not. And the symbolism that when you think about the symbolism of it, that really is key.
Okay.
Because it's not always done in these societies as beautification.
Right.
There's a meaning behind it or a symbolism.
Definitely.
And when you're talking about having a name or something put on your body, you don't necessarily think long term how that's going to affect you,
right?
Because you may change your mind, and that does happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's important to discuss, because with the project, one of the components that we're looking at is when you adorn your body, particularly with regard to the contemporary. When you adorn your body, are you really giving thought to what it is that you're placing on your body, whether it's someone's name or it's a symbol? Right. Do you know what that symbol means? Right. And oftentimes it may have a meaning, but you may not know what it is.
Right, right. Okay, so Saturday coming up from 9 to 4 at the Doubletree Suites by the Hilton, 525 West Lafayette in Detroit. You're going to have a conference. In this conference, you're going to be given classes on body adornment.
That will be one of the components.
Okay.
There will be about 10 speakers who will have individual sessions. I'm one of these speakers. For my particular session, I'm actually going to be teaching a class on body adornment. Okay. It is a class where you don't have to bring any supplies. Those are supplied for you. If you want to bring a model, you certainly can, in a small table to set your supplies and things on. You don't have to have any previous artistic experience, just be interested in learning. But that's just one of the sessions.
All right.
Some of the other sessions that I'm really very excited about, even more so than my own, are a couple of men and women, or few men and women, who are both from the States and from the continent. One session, for example, will be taught by Mr. Joy Opoku-Ofe, who is originally from Ghana, but he lives here. And he's going to be talking about the contemporary attitudes of body adornment in West Africa, specifically Ghana, because that has changed over time. And we may not realize that there is a change in the perception of body adornment on the continent and throughout the African diaspora that has changed over time, both negative and positive. Brother Daoud Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, Mosque Number 1, he's going to be giving a session on the symbolism behind the clothing that the men and women wear of the Nation of Islam, because there's I think still a lot of misconception about what that means and what it means to be a Muslim man or woman, particularly with regard to the Nation of Islam. We have a young woman who is going to be doing a session on the Gele head wrap.
Okay.
She was born here in the States, but she is from Nigeria. She was raised there. Her name is Yinka Ogunyemi.
Okay.
She's going to be doing history on the Gele head wrap and also doing demonstrations. So those are just a number of the sessions that we have.
I was looking at, and I believe it was your page, like, when they, even to the braids and the different things that they do, even with their hair. And when you talk about...
because that's part of it too.
Okay.
Adornment it doesn't only include or involve marking the body, but it's what you put on your body. So it's the jewelry you wear, the hairstyle, the clothing.
Okay. Now, this diaspora, give the meaning of that word, just for people who don't know, what the in the African diaspora, what it meant, how you explained it to me.
And that basically is, if you are an African person who was born on the continent of Africa, that's the root of it.
Okay.
The diaspora refers to those of us who are scattered in other places aside from Africa.
Okay.
So the diaspora includes the United States, it includes Europe, it includes South America, wherever there are people of African descent who have ended up either because of slavery or just a migration. If we are there, we are part of that African diaspora.
Okay. Now the session again, 9 to 4. You said there are like 10 different conferences, classes within the conference, and then there is a lunch from
12:30 until 1:25, and then our sessions.
I'll make that one.
Okay.
Go ahead. Your sessions.
Yeah, we have sessions in the morning, and then we break for lunch, and then we have additional sessions in the afternoon.
Okay. And the cost to attend the conference?
If you want to attend just the sessions only, it's $50, and that gives you access to all of the sessions that you'd like to attend. We also let me get through the price. If you would like to receive lunch, be part of the lunch buffet, that would be $75. And with that, you get a full meal. You don't just get cheese and crackers. You get fried chicken and catfish and macaroni and cheese and all that. So you definitely going to be there.
Most definitely.
And if you want to come in on site, and I may consider altering this, but on site is $88.
Okay.
But depending on if we continue to get the kind of response we've been getting, I may waive that.
Okay, all right. Well, that would be good. Now, when I look at Mjuba, and so Mjuba, this is your business.
Yes.
Mjuba Associates, reconnecting people of African descent to their cultural identity. You established this in 2005, and it's a cultural preservation firm that specializes in exhibition, development, educational program, visual arts project services that rediscover, present, and preserve the traditions of histories of African societies. Now, I know I'm looking at like some of this, and you have like some black art or black and white old photos. So you will take these photos and preserve them for somebody, frame them, keep them from...
Basically what that is, that's part of our cultural education programs. And part of my background is that I attended a preservation conservation center, Campbell Center in Illinois, to get my training on photographic conservation. And what I do is I teach a seminar where I teach you, if you have a collection of photographs, either as part of your family or an institution, I teach you how to preserve them so they don't get to a point where they become so deteriorated that you need to call in a conservator. So we talk about climate control, storing, handling, what to do, what not to do.
All right. So now, you teach an educational program, African and African American art, history, and imagery, the past to the present, which is a 4-week program.
Correct.
Then Finding Ourselves, preserving African American photographic collections. Okay, that's a lecture and a workshop. Then you have Introduction to African American Family Genealogy. Well, tell me a little bit about that class. And this is for Mjuba. This is not a part of the conference this weekend. This is separate. This is your business, things that you do on a daily basis. But tell me a little bit about that African American family genealogy.
Well,
class.
I know that there's been sort of a resurgence of people who are interested in tracing their family history.
Right.
And maybe they don't know how to get started. Maybe they're at a point where they've started and they're kind of at a stopping point.
Okay.
I teach a course that introduces you into how to preserve or begin the process of preserving your family history.
Okay.
And I've taught this for a number of years at the Dexter Elmhurst Community Center to our seniors and to some extent to our youth as well, because it's important for them to understand the importance of their own family history.
Exactly.
So we talk a lot about how to find records, how to, again, maintain your photographs, and how to organize so that you can make this a long-term process.
Okay. Now, this says that this is a one-week program. Do you come like Monday through Friday, or how?
I can customize it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think I would really be interested in that. My, I don't know how far back, to Africa or anything like that, but my family name is Turnip Seed, and my grandparents were. And great-grandparents were from McCool, Mississippi.
Okay.
And my great-grandmother's name was Leroy Turnipseed, and her husband's name was Lee Turnipseed. And I did pull up some information, and you saw where they like paid them a little bit for the land or whatever. But I know that in McCool, Mississippi, during that time, a lot of people were related to each other, so I just was stuck right there. I can't find anything past that, so I'm really interested, and so your class could help me find.
And you actually have a good start, even with what you may think is a small amount of information. Because many people don't have anything.
Okay.
So what you have, you start with that, and then you move, in the direction that you need to get the information that you need.
Well, definitely. And so we need 25 people to do that. Okay, so listen, people, I really want to have this class, so somebody call me, then we could get 25 people together, and we can get Rosina to help us. And then you have a visual arts project and service, the art of African body adornment. So you actually teach this class, the session that you're having, the conference, you actually give a class on how to do body adornment.
Correct, yes. And it specifically looks at ethnic identity, the kind of markings, again, that we put on our body, what it means, and looking at that from a historical standpoint as well as what we do contemporarily.
Okay, okay. Now, we were talking earlier, you said to do a full adornment takes about 10 hours?
Yes. So if what we're doing is part of the African Body Adornment Project, I know that sounds like a lot, and it is, but we take regular breaks.
Okay.
As part of the African Body Adornment Project, the main purpose of the project is to look at how various methods and materials that are defined as body marking, body art, body adornment, how that's used to define and shape how we perceive the African body. Okay. So again, it looks at not only what you put on your body, but how the jewelry that you put on your body, the hairstyles, the actual marking of your body. And one of the things that will translate into is taking design, looking at imagery, looking at the meaning of some of these symbols that you see in various African cultures, and taking that and applying some of that information onto the body. So there might be Adinkra symbols that are from the Ashanti culture that may be applied on the body in terms of body painting with additional materials. So those models become actual living sculptures that are sort of transformed. Okay. That process can take about 10 hours if we're doing a session from head to toe, because there's a photo shoot involved as well.
Right. Well, and it's very interesting to me because, as you say, that the men, who adorn their bodies to attract attention to the women, and when I'm just back here in our society today, when you think about the women who dress, to attract the men, but how we've lost the message, the real meaning of this culture, of adorning our bodies. It should be in a way in which we, well, I'm not going.
And that's one of the things that we want to talk about as part of this project is. Thinking about not just in terms of I'm going to place this marking on my body or wear this because I want to look attractive, but also there are other reasons to do that, to adorn yourself. You know, it may be that something that you're applying to your body, you're doing that because you're seeing the body as being sacred.
Right. And then it just seems to me, and you say you use the word sacred, but it's like, it's so much pride, you know, when you adorn your body, when you get dressed, you know, you feel so good. And then when, you know, I mean, today's society, it seems to me like, you know, you adorn your body with whatever you have on, you know, and most of it is just like, you know, the little strip of this and a little strip of that, you know, and then we go out and then we are offended when people may have something to say about, you know, the way that we dress today. And I think it's just so important for our young girls, because I think that if they would just understand that beauty is beauty, you understand? And I have a very warped sense of humor, you know, so I had to just stop myself right there. But beauty is beauty, you know, and people are going to be attracted. If you're beautiful, you could have your entire body covered, but your beauty will radiate, you know. And so you don't have to adorn your body with little or nothing to attract anyone. And then when you do that, when you're out there and you are attracting people because you're exposing your body, then what is it that they're attracted to? Really, I mean, you know, so what are you attracting, you know? And that's the part that I really hope some young person would could see. You know, maybe I need to sponsor somebody to go. I don't have to go far. Let me call my daughter.
Right, right. And that, I think you make a wonderful point.
Yeah.
When you look at, for example, the women of the Maasai culture in Kenya, and you look at the way in which they adorn themselves for particular ceremonies, there's lots of covering with necklaces and beads, and it's very dramatically, vibrantly colorful. And you may that may be the breadth of the adornment, because their heads are shaven, so you get to see these beautiful features. You know, because there's not all of this obstruction, you know, and it's just something as simple as turning that attention to the neck so that you can see the face. You know, and all of this, you know, there's nothing else that interferes with that. And I think that particularly with our young black women and our young girls, we need to always reiterate the fact that you already are naturally adorned. So you just need to just understand what that means. So you don't need all of this other distraction. Right,
and that's sometimes exactly is what it becomes, is a distraction. You know, so Saturday, 9 to 4, the Ancestral Eye, Body Adornment and Imagery in the African
Diaspora.
I'm going to get that. So how many continents, I know you've been to the motherland several, you know, how many places have you been?
I have had the opportunity to visit there twice. The first time I went to a place called Benin, West Africa, which is on the west coast, very close to Ghana, where the official language is French, but when you travel throughout the villages, there are a number of areas where they speak their traditional languages. And I've also gone to South Africa. That was for a conference, museum conference, and I was there for about 2 weeks. Just eye-opening. You know, everything that you see about the continent on television and in the media, it is not prevalent throughout the continent, and there's so much beauty there that you don't see, and you're not going to see unless you go there. And I really do encourage every person of African descent, particularly if you live here in the States, to travel there, because you will be welcomed in many of those areas. And it's just something that you need to do as a person of African descent.
So let's talk about welcoming. So you go there to their country, they welcome you, they treat you nice.
My first trip to Benin was just mind-blowing. I mean, I was on a super high from the moment I realized I was going until like 3 months after I came back. It was just astounding to me, because their culture, the traditional aspects of their culture, are still very entrenched and intact. And just to be in a country where you look around and you see nothing but black people in beautiful color, and you hear these wonderful languages being spoken. And it's just really, just visually, it's just beautiful.
So where are we going wrong here? you know, there we could go. We're welcome. You know, we
in some areas.
Okay.
You know,
Oh,
you
yeah,
still
I know.
have
I know. Yeah.
because that same the same issues that we're having here with regard to perception about one another, you will still find in some areas there,
Okay.
and
so
that's one of the
fighting and struggling,
and the perception that we as Black people have. You know, there are some attitudes that African Americans have about Africans, that Africans have about African Americans, and it comes about because we don't have a dialogue with each other.
Right.
Instead, we listen to other people who don't look anything like us. We listen to them talk about how it is that we are interacting with one another, and we really do need to just have a dialogue together.
Right.
So that's one of the things that this conference will do, is look at and bring together maybe some people that you don't come into contact with, that you need to come into contact with, because this also talks about imagery and perception.
Right, and I definitely think that, you know, we need to have a meeting of the mind. You know, just in this city, the way things are going, you know, period. You know, with so much violence, so much murder, so much. You know, hating. We need to come together as a people and embrace, you know, who we are, work together, and make some changes, you know, for such a time as this. It's really a good time. I think that your conference is going to be great. I definitely will be in attendance. Like I said, I know that I won't be able to be there all day because I have a commitment, but either from 10 to 12 or from 12 to 4, you know, because I will make the lunch part of it.
And you also get, you know, we have conference materials for you. Each session speaker will have additional information for you. You get an opportunity to purchase the products that the speakers will have available for sale. And you also get to meet some of our wonderful Mjuba models, the actual women and men who work on the project.
I'm looking for that. And you said something about models, because I have, you know, I'm going to still again talk about my daughter, because I have a beautiful Black young lady. You know, when you said that you were looking for models, I meant to call you and say, hey, let me offer her up, because she is very attractive, very sweet young lady, just waiting on her to take out and lead and do what it is that God has called her to do. And once she does that, she's going to be great. I was getting ready to ask you something, and I kind of lost my thought. I am a senior citizen now.
Well, while you're recapturing your thought, let me just say about the models. We're always looking for models. And one of the things that I think is important, that I always say and reiterate, is that we look for all body types. Because as people of African descent, we come in all body types. And we've never fit the standard Western ideal of what a model is. So you don't have to be extremely tall and pencil thin. You can be every single shape there is.
You can use me for a model?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I may have another job. So we'll talk after the show. I still can't even bring it back. I can't even remember what I was getting ready to ask you. But as a African American woman who this is your life, so you study, you have the history. How important has this been in your life? How has it made a difference for you? Tell me how important it is to you.
It's extremely important, and I'm very much still a student of this. You know, there are those who know far more than I do, which is why I asked them to come aboard our project as consultants. Because this is a project that focuses on the African diaspora, I'm looking for, and have been fortunate enough to come into contact with people who are from various parts of the world who are of African descent. So from Africa, from London, from various other areas. But in terms of the importance of this, I think that reconnecting ourselves as people of African descent back to our origins and our roots, that's always going to be important. And there are just so many different ways to do that, you know, with regard to language, with regard to body adornment, customs, and things like that. But whatever way in which we do that, that needs to be a lifelong pursuit. It's always interesting to me when people say, particularly people who are Black, who say, well, I'm not African American, you know, I'm Black, or I'm American. Before there was African American, or Black American, there were African. So the fact is, The fact is, we come from them.
Right.
You know, it's like trying to outrun your shadow. You can't do it. You're connected.
Exactly.
So I think that it's important for us to understand that, and for me and this project, and just reconnecting to who I am as a woman of African descent, that's just always going to be important to me, because I know that America is not where I came from.
Right.
You know, my origins, my beginnings are someplace else. So it's important to know what that is and know where that is, so that you can get an increased sense of not only who you are, but with that comes an enormous amount of pride. An enormous amount of pride.
That's what I was just, as I listened to you talk, I felt that, like, if you go back and you get that history, that you will have some pride about,
Absolutely.
you know, the things that you may learn. And I think, you know, I, for one, definitely will have a relationship with you outside of this show, but I think everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know, there's nothing that is really by chance, so I'm truly looking forward to sitting down with you, doing that class, number one, but really just trying to get some history, you know, and I would like to go and touch down on the motherland and put,
you would
you know,
love
my
it.
feet down. At my church, Greater Southern Baptist Church, 8000 Fullerton, where my pastor is Reverend Daryl S. Moore. I do this every week. But we have the pastor before him who passed away, his name was Johnny Salisbury, Reverend Salisbury, has a school in Ghana. And his wife, Gloria Salisbury, she goes, I don't know if it's monthly or how often she goes over to Ghana. She'll do the book project, take supplies over there. And some of them from the motherland have come over here and, you know, had church with us. And so they spend an enormous amount of time there, you know. And Delta Salisbury and Javere, you know, they, you know, have their like, they are really into the African, you know, descent. They practice it, they walk it. And even in that, they have just a sense of pride, you know, that they carry about themselves, you know. So I'm definitely interested in seeing just some more information about this project, and really like some of the outfits, you know. So are they going to have, that's what I was going to ask you, are they going to have vendors there? Will they have vendors selling anywhere?
For this particular project or the conference, the only vendors would be the speakers and their materials. Now we're going to have additional events to support the African Body Adornment Project. One of which will, at least one of which will include a number of vendors, because there's so much wonderful material and items that we have in the city. Entrepreneurs and business people who have these wonderful wares and things. So we definitely will be doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to know. So,
and could I just add one thing?
Sure, please.
As part of the African Body Adornment Project, it encompasses a number of additional components. One of the things that we're looking to do is develop a digital magazine that's devoted to African body adornment. We're also looking to do an oral history project in which we want to document and record those people of African descent who have body markings and who want to talk about the ways in which they adorn themselves. So it could be a tattoo, it could be a piercing of some sort, visible piercings, of course, and just get feedback on their thought process and their perception of and reasons why they adorn themselves the way that they do. So we want to sort of capture that information. And we're also going to be doing and have been videotaping our events, because we want to develop the African Body Adornment Project into a documentary.
I think that would be really good. And I think it would be good, you know, once it is documented, to sit down with your children, you know, from young children, so they can know, to give them a sense of pride, because I think that's what our children, I think that's what we lack today, is the pride. You know, where's the pride? I grew up in a time, you know, when, you know, you could run down the street and everybody knew everybody, and, you know, your neighbors would send you home, you know, they whoop your butt, they tell your mama, and, you know, you get another whooping when you get home. But we had a sense of pride. We all, you know, from household to household, we would go, we knew each other, we loved each other, we looked out for each other, you know, we broke bread with each other. And things are not like that today. And it's like we, you know, our children or the children that are growing up now, they don't have any pride. And the only way they get it is if somebody in the neighborhood remember what it was like, you know, to be, you know, back in the old days. My neighbors, you know, I love my neighbors, you know. But everybody is not like me. You know, there are people on the block, you know, that, you know, they may not even speak to you, see you every day, you know, you need help. They, you know, they're not giving a cup of sugar anymore. You understand? You know, so things are just so different today. But if you, you know, could, you know, look at the people that are in the audience, just tell them again, you know, why, tell them a little bit about your conference that's coming on this weekend, why you're having the conference, you know, what it means to you, and why it would be good for them to come out and see, you know, this project.
Well, it's definitely interesting to have a dialogue about, you know, the various topics connected with cultural arts. But if you're interested in broadening your perception of what body adornment is as it relates to African cultures, that's one reason to come out. If you want to hear some dynamic speakers, that definitely is an opportunity for you to come out, because even if this is a subject that you have never thought about, if you come, it's going to challenge your way of thinking. And I think that's always good. The project itself the conference is a way to broaden and first begin and then broaden the dialogue about the way in which we perceive ourselves as people of African descent. And with that, you look at the way in which, again, we adorn ourselves, because those two components are connected. So I think that if you come out to the conference, it's going to be possibly something that you didn't expect. You're going to get information that you didn't expect to get, which is always great.
It is.
And to just open up your mind about what you think body adornment is, and actually learn about what it is. And you're going to be around some wonderful people. It's an opportunity to network, to get to know and come into contact with other people of African descent who maybe you need to come into contact with.
So, Rosina, if they wanted to get in touch with you in Juba for all the things that you do, the classes, what is the number that they can reach you at?
You can reach me at 313-575-6542. You can also email me at mjubarj@att.net. That's M as in man, D as in David, U, B as in boy, ARJ@att.net. We also have a Facebook page, of course, on the African Body Adornment Project, where we have the event on the conference coming up, the Ancestral Eye. And we have all of that information on that page. As well as images of the living sculptures that we create as part of the African Body Adornment Project.
Well, you know, it's really been a pleasure for me to sit down and talk to you. I've been enlightened today. I've learned some things, you know, that I think that will be a part of me, you know, from forever, you know, because it'll keep me being inquisitive about, you know, what exactly what the body adornment is, and the African imaging, and you know, just different things. You know, I'm interested in the, you know, the head wraps, and, you know, you know, just the different things and the why behind it. I think that's what I really want to know. It's just the history of it, why we do things. You know, to just get that sense of pride back. You know, you know, as a woman from you know, these states, you know, I need the perm, you know, got to get the curls and the hair.
Or so you think you need the perm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know,
exactly.
That's what I'm
we have a sister who is a wonderful a loctician, Yatunde Anderson, who owns My Domain hair care salon, who's going to be there talking about natural hair care and locking.
Well, and that's really good. But my daughter at Bashama's Salon and Spa on Grand River, she just opened up her own salon. So I mean, she's always a natural hair care. She doesn't do a lot of perms in her hair. But people want it, she'll give it to her. She really is like more natural. But that's where I would like to get to. I would like to get to a point where I could just be all natural
and just be free.
Exactly. Just wake up in the morning, kind of shake it like that, and just call it a day without the weed, without the
part of your natural adornment.
Exactly. And one day I will get there. I know that. So I'm really excited about just learning some more from you. I'm really glad that God has allowed this relationship to develop. That you came here, that you sat down with me.
And I'm so grateful for you and for you inviting me. Thank you so much.
You are very, very welcome. So again, let's give them your number one more time, how they can get in touch with you.
I'm at 313-575-6542.
Okay, and your email address?
Email is M as in man, D as in David, M as in man, D as in David, U, B as in boy, ARJ @att.net.
Okay, and then you have the Facebook page, Mjuba Butch, MDUBA, African Body Adornment Project.
Correct.
2012. Okay.
And even if you just type in African Body Adornment Project, it'll get you right to it.
Okay. Well, again, I thank you. It's really been a pleasure. You've really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I've always had an interest, but nobody to talk to. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be here. But this will not be the last time that we have an opportunity to sit down and talk. You may be locking my hair one day, or giving me some, body adornment.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about that, but I can't wait until Saturday to go to the conference. I'm really looking forward to that, and just hope that I don't go from 8 to 12 and Zoe is looking for me to help her move, and I'm still there, stuck on looking at what's going on in the at the conference. But again, I thank you, and so today I am going to end this show as I always do, from my beating heart to your beating heart. I want to thank you. I love you. Okay, you understand?